Ciao, hi, hey, hola, guys, amigos. It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another. I'm just going to check I'm live on Facebook. Just waiting on Facebook. I decided to focus on the YouTube screen for this one, but part one. But yeah, welcome to part one of Asian Mondays, as I've called it. On that note, so yeah, these are pointers number 1 to 10 as per usual. I was going to go to this well-being cafe and go for a nice long walk, but one, it took me a while to get out of bed. Secondly, I was running late, and it took me a while. And thirdly, it took me a while to get ready as well. And I guess I had a cup of tea and all that kind of thing, and I decided to stay at home and just go for a short walk to the shop and that kind of thing. Get some more milk and sugar. Always need milk and sugar for my tea. But yeah, I thought, because I hadn't seen them for a while, to show I'm still alive and all that kind of thing. They might be worrying about me, and also, which is very nice of them, of course. And also, I thought it'd be nice to go for a long walk. But also, I've injured my pinky toe, especially on my left foot, as I mentioned recently. So I decided not to. I just went for a short walk to the shop. I thought I probably should rest my feet as well. But I do love walking, but I think I'm going to try and rest my foot, or both my feet, especially the left one, for the rest of the day, or most of this week maybe. But I do like to go for short walks at least. I always like to go for a walk every day. But yeah, I thought I haven't seen them for a while. It'd be good to go and say hello to them and sure I'm still alive. But I know, nice life story. But I thought I'd just mention that. Probably should have mentioned that in part 2 or something. But anyway, as per usual, I thought I would stick to a certain theme. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know I normally stick to a certain theme for each day of the week or whatever, and certain dates and things like that, certain days of the month and that kind of thing. So yeah, so this is the Monday version of empowerment for people in Asia. So here goes. So number 1, I normally say from a selfish point of view, I love for Italian soccer or football teams like AC Monza, Inter Milan, and AC Milan, as well as like Roma and Italian football generally. I think of like AC Monza, Inter Milan, AC Milan, even though I know technically it's AC Monza, Inter Milan, and AC Milan, so they don't technically start with M. But I think of like Monza Mondays and Milan Mondays, given my use of alliterations. But I love for them basically, I'll say AC Monza, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Roma, and all AS Roma, and all the Italian teams generally, to have their own academies and supporters clubs across Asia, and have partnerships. So they can. I'd love for Italian teams to practice, again in this case AC Monza, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Roma, and basically Italian teams generally. Actually, I know I focus on certain themes for certain days, but and dates I say, but I suppose you could say life doesn't really work like that. So it could be whatever days are available, whatever dates are best for the teams' days and dates and whatnot. So I guess they look in their diary, I guess. But yeah, I love for them to have academies and sports clubs so they can help with the Asian football development as well. But most importantly, I hope Italian football will benefit and through having more supporters and followers. So I'd love for Asians to have academies with Italian football teams, as I say, sports clubs, and also to support and even follow and invest into and sponsor Italian teams and that kind of thing. Really dreaming, probably donate to, but more likely invest into and sponsor, and as they have supports clubs and academies, football academies, and that kind of thing. So that, especially practicing together, like Italian schools and youth teams and that kind of thing, practicing. So young people, basically the youth, to put it as simply as possible, to practice in Italy. Also, I love for mixed race people to like part Asians, like Eurasians like myself. There's Anglo-Indians, Indos, Hapas, Havus, Kristangs, or whatever other Eurasian groups. Can't really think of any others. But for us to practice and have football tournaments in Italy and across Asia as well, and like hopefully benefit Italian football as well as Asian economies and like their tourism industry. But moving on to point number 2, I'd love to support the Asian movie and music industries. I love to support Asian music and movie producers, directors, and whatnot, musicians, movie stars, actors, actresses, and whatnot, their industries, and that kind of thing. Number 3, I'd love to promote, I say, Asian movies, Asian music, Asian models, support Asia's next top model or whatever, if I can in the future, um, and look at how to support more Asians in music and movie industries and modeling industry as well. Again, think of things that begin with M. Number 4, I'd love to support Asian projects generally, whether that's um, so businesses, entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship, banks, the Asian Development Bank. I'd love to look at how they can support projects like entrepreneurs, including smaller businesses as well as bigger ones, medium-sized and bigger businesses as well. Again, being a bit too obsessed with alliterations. Also, I think of I'd love to support Asian projects generally, and I'd love to promote peace across Asia. And with the Asian Alliance, which I often talk about, I would love to see, and I'll talk a lot about that as much as I can in May and June, and August as well, actually, as much as I can. I'd love for the Asian Alliance, which I wish to create, and I thought of calling it the Asian Alliance instead of Asian Union because it would be less likely to get mixed up with the African Union if it was AU, so it would have the same acronym, same initials acronym or whatever. But yeah, I'd love for that to promote peace, so like preventing war between China and Taiwan. On the subject of Taiwan, I think it's a part of me would love to see, because I love to promote Pan-Asianism, a part of me would love to see somehow, and a controversial idea, but I'd love to see them networking, being part of like, a part of me would love to see them get together with China and get along and work on ideas together and like promote libertarianism and that kind of thing. But yeah, I guess because they might be more capitalistic and they might not be happy with China's communist stance or whatever reason, they might want to join. But there's another part of me, before I move on to point number 5, which thinks that Taiwan could put themselves in a position and turn that negative position into a positive, something I hope to talk about in May, June. May, June, and hopefully part of August as well. Because July I hope to focus on Native American empowerment, but might cover that, but more likely in May, June, and August, as I say, rather than July, and talk about it as often as possible, basically. But I know I like to talk about different topics and all that kind of thing. I talked about Celtic yesterday, as they played yesterday, but yeah, a part of me would love to see like them use that position to say, America and China, which one of you will invest the most in us, and which one of you has the best like 5 to 10 year plans for our future, so that instead of going to war over it, maybe America and China would then have to compete, hopefully, and say, we're going to invest the most in Taiwan, we're going to invest the most in your entrepreneurs, your projects, your businesses, and whatever else to benefit them. But as ever, I'd love to know what you think. Do you think I'm being naive? But I'm going to move on. I'd love to know your points generally, but I'm going to move on to point number 5. As I say, I love to support Asian ambition, aims, objectives, and whatnot. Asian projects, whether that's businesses, obviously entrepreneurs and that kind of thing, and find out about and celebrate like Asian businesses, success stories, like even like millionaires, billionaires, and that kind of thing. Again, go on my use of alliteration. I think I like finding out about Asian millionaires and money makers generally, entrepreneurs, business people, and whatnot. I know they say money and everything, but I do think about money Mondays and focus on other things on other days, that kind of thing. Number 6, once again, I'd love for Asian, many of them as possible, to work with the town football and vice versa, or the town football to work with the Asian Development Bank, the new Asian Alliance, which I wish to create. If and when that gets created, I'd love for them to work with Asian nations, with the town football, and with each other, of course. And I'd love for Asian nation, as many Asian nations and organisations and whatnot as possible, I'd say, to sponsor, invest into, maybe even donate to, but certainly the first 2, follow. I'd love for Asians to follow and support the town football teams and have their own academies and sports clubs. Like I said in point number 1, hopefully that will help Italian youth development in football and Italian football generally, and help club teams like AC Monza, Inter Milan, and AC Milan, and Roma and whatnot to have more money to buy even better players, or buy better players, and hopefully start dominating in Europe again. I'd love to see Italian teams win as many trophies as possible in Europe, and hopefully catch up with and even overtake the EPL and La Liga, the Spanish league, and finally win those trophies. Also, they can help Asian football development and Asian economies and their tourism and that kind of thing. Asians could be invited to Italy to play football, but also Italians could visit Asian communities, and especially in Asia itself, and those from the diaspora, perhaps even. Yeah, I'd love to see the more younger people in Italy, like the schools, parks, youth teams, and whatnot, getting to play football in Asia. I know I'm a bit biased because I think I look Italian, so a bit of a selfish one on that note. But number 7, also I love the Celtic, and maybe teams with where cities where it's more diverse, cities and counties like Leicestershire, Birmingham, and places like that, maybe even London. Although I do want most of my ideas to do with football are to benefit Italian football and Celtic, especially the former one. But I didn't want to talk too much about football today. Which I want to talk about on Friday, possibly Saturday and Sunday as well, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I did want to say a bit about football as I normally do. But yeah, seeing those teams have tournaments in Asia, I'd love to see Italian teams, Celtic, again maybe Leicester, Birmingham, and possibly even some teams from London, especially youth teams, being invited to Asia and connect with Asia to connect with the diaspora, which I hope to come to in part 3. I won't give too much away on that one. Jumping ahead of myself, but as usual. But I'll say my thoughts a bit faster than my speech, I guess, and my writing. But yeah, I'd love to see, I say, those tournaments and that kind of thing, and also for Asians to work together a bit away from the football before I move on to point number 8. I'd love for them to find easy ways to make money. Maybe I know there's a hard-working Asian work ethic, which I think they should be rewarded for, and they deserve to make more money and be good entrepreneurial, I guess, because of their hard work. What do you think about that? I'd love to know. Although I think being a good person is more important, and I can prove that being a hard-working person does not make you nice. Because I think a lot of does not make you nice, or even nice at all. Because I think like I'm the laziest people you've probably ever seen. Although I love walking, but to me that's quite easy. But I don't have a hard-working bone in my body. But yeah, I'm probably the nicest person you ever meet. Whereas some people are really hardworking, but it doesn't make them nice people. So I do wonder, do you think hardworking people deserve more money? I think people do seem to think that. Like have a good brain or intelligent, smart, clever, or whatever the difference is. I get mixed up between those words. I use them interchangeably. But anyway, on that note, moving on to point number 8. I'd love for Asians to talk about what motivates and inspires them and what makes them proud to be Asian. Hopefully not in an arrogant way, but what makes them proud to be Asian and what they love about their own nations and each other's nations. Their own nation and each other's nation. So, in the singular and the plural. Anyway, so, for instance, what Chinese people love about their own nation, perhaps, and also what they love about India, Japan, and other places, and vice versa. Hopefully, that can build more positivity and love rather than hate and division and all that kind of thing, and negativity and that kind of thing. I love to be an optimist, although I'm quite a pessimist. Which reminds me of something I was going to post on Facebook. But anyway, I'm going to move on to point number 9. I'd love to promote Asian projects generally, especially when it comes to Mondays, especially in terms of business, money making, and that kind of thing. But those other industries I talk about, I guess, helping them to make more money, which is like the movie industry, music industry, modelling in Asia, getting more Asians into modelling perhaps, and that kind of thing. And hopefully they can make money on it, or at least enjoy doing it, preferably both. And number 10, I'd love to look into like youth empowerment. Again, I wasn't going to talk too much about football. I'm going to try and not talk too much about football, but again, maybe Asia could host those youth tournaments, and that could be in other sports as well. For me, I want to focus more on football, but they could host tournaments in cricket, not too keen on that, but they could host tournaments in cricket, tennis, badminton, rugby, and other sports, more than they already do, and also music, inviting music producers and movie producers and directors and whatnot, and that kind of thing from all over the world, maybe to even mentor younger people, and that kind of thing. So hosting as many events as possible. I wonder if they could host more with each other and also invite those from the diaspora and also invite others to come and invest their money and also share their ideas to benefit, especially younger people across Asia. I prefer to support younger people, which is one thing I probably wouldn't like too much about Asia. As I said before, like how they say respect your elders, which is my least favourite saying, but I'm going to try and end on a positive. I hope my ideas can benefit Asia. And on that note, I'm out and peace and love.